Mom told me I had to get along with my new stepdad, Jim, not real name, and his family. They included my stepsister Emily and stepbrother Alex, not real names. But I couldn't help feeling suspicious about them. Something just didn't sit right with me. Jim especially seemed controlling and bossy, even though it was my mom who paid for everything. He always talked about his big startup dream and claimed he was saving up for it. But I had my doubts. It felt like he might be pulling a fast one on us, like it was all a big lie. One day, I overheard Jim and his dad talking about something related to property. They were speaking quietly and seemed serious. It made me curious and a little worried. I knew I had to tell Mom what I heard, hoping she would take me seriously. I approached Mom, feeling nervous, and told her about the conversation I overheard. But she seemed surprised and didn't really understand why I was so concerned. She thought it was just regular family talk and told me we needed to try and get along. She said we were a blended family now and needed to build the relationships. I felt frustrated because she didn't seem to get it. How could she not see the danger I sensed? I needed to find a way to make her understand and protect her from whatever secrets Jim and his family were hiding. Days turned into weeks, and my suspicions only grew stronger. I started noticing how Jim took control of everything, making decisions without considering Mom's opinions or desires. He would dismiss her ideas and preferences, asserting his dominance in our household. It was as if he wanted complete control over our lives. Meanwhile, he continued to talk about his startup dream, claiming he needed more time to save up for it. But there were moments when I caught a glimpse of something in his eyes, a flicker of deceit. It made me question his true intentions and wonder if his dream was just a cover up for something else. But a guy's feeling wasn't enough to convince someone. As the months passed, Jim's behavior became more concerning. He would isolate Mom from her friends and family, making her depend on him for everything. I could see how it affected her, but she seemed blinded by his charm, unable to see the manipulative tactics he employed. I tried talking to Mom again, sharing my observations and fears, but she brushed them off as misunderstandings. She insisted that I give Jim a chance and work on building a harmonious family. It was frustrating to see her dismiss my concerns, to witness her trust someone who seemed so suspicious to me. Little did I know that the storm brewing beneath the surface would soon erupt, forcing Mom to face the reality she had ignored. As time passed, Jim's attitude only grew worse. He became increasingly controlling, and his actions raised even more red flags. I tried my best to keep a low profile around the house, spending most of my time in my room to avoid any confrontation. It seemed like the best way to stay out of his radar, and thankfully, he didn't bother me much either. In the back of my mind, I knew I had to make a decision. I had landed a really good job and had the opportunity to move out. Part of me wanted to leave that toxic environment behind, but another part couldn't bear the thought of leaving my mom alone with Jim and his family. I worried about her safety and well-being, even though she didn't believe the warnings I had tried to share. With a heavy heart, I made the difficult choice to move out and start a new chapter in my life. I found a place of my own, but I couldn't shake the unease that lingered within me. It didn't feel safe for Mom to stay with them, but I couldn't force her to see the truth. Then, one day, everything changed. Mom showed up at my doorstep, her face etched with fear and desperation. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She had always been strong-willed and independent, but now she stood before me, begging for my help. Without hesitation, I opened my arms and embraced her. "Of course, Mom," I had said, my voice filled with love and concern. "You can stay with me for as long as you want, but I need to know why you need to be hidden. What happened?" Tears streamed down her face as she recounted the horrors she had endured in that house. The control, the manipulation, and the escalating abuse. She revealed the truth about Jim's true nature and the danger she had been living in. It was far worse than anything I had imagined. Mom confessed that he had been threatening her, manipulating her, and using his influence to keep her trapped after creating this amazing and perfect image of a husband in front of the society. She said that she was scared for her life and wanted my help. My heart broke at her words, but a surge of determination filled me. I would do whatever it took to keep her safe. I assured her, my voice firm and resolute. I told her that she was not alone anymore and that we would figure this out together. She would be safe with me. I could sense that my mom wasn't in a sober state of mind when she arrived at my doorstep. I didn't want to push her further, knowing that she had already endured so much. I allowed her some time to collect herself, hoping she would open up when she was ready. I don't know what to do and how to get her justice, though. Update 1. After a few days had passed, I gently approached her again. This time I could see a mix of fear and determination in her eyes. She took a deep breath and began to tell me a story that sent chills down my spine. As she spoke, I learned it all. He wasn't just a controlling and manipulative man, he was a cunning con man. He had been slowly poisoning her, intentionally making her seem like a mentally unstable woman. He planned to isolate her, gain complete control over all her possessions, and leave her helpless. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. How could someone be so heartless, so evil? I was filled with a mixture of anger and disbelief that Mom had fallen victim to such a scheme. But she wasn't to blame. She had been manipulated and deceived by a skilled manipulator. To make matters even worse, Mom told me that Jim and his family had been pressuring her to disown me for months. They wanted to sever our bond, leaving her completely dependent on them. It was a sickening plot designed to isolate and control her completely. Mom was terrified. She begged me to keep her hidden, fearing for her safety and sanity. But deep down, I knew that hiding was only a temporary solution. We had to take action to bring this darkness into the light. With a determined voice, I convinced Mom that involving the police was our best course of action. We needed to expose Jim's true intentions, protect Mom from further harm, and ensure that justice was served. It was a difficult decision, but one we had to make. Update 2. We have gathered the evidence, documenting everything we could find to support our case. We didn't want to leave any room for doubt. As we reached out to the authorities, I could feel a renewed sense of strength within me. We were standing up against the deceit and manipulation that had haunted our lives for far too long. It took me a solid 1 month for all of these. I was approached by Jim multiple times, and I did my best to avoid him. The police took our situation seriously and launched an investigation. They assured us that they would do everything possible to bring Jim and his accomplices to justice. We were not alone in this fight, and that gave us hope. Amid the chaos, we found solace in each other's presence. The bond between mother and child grew even stronger as we faced adversity head on. We knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but we were determined to reclaim our lives and restore the trust that had been shattered. Update 3. Hello, here's what happened last week. Finally putting a full stop to this agonizing situation. As the courtroom doors swung open, we stepped into a world of legal proceedings, evidence, and testimonies. The truth of Jim's deceitful plan was laid bare for all to see. The evidence we had gathered, combined with the accounts of witnesses and experts, painted a damning picture of his manipulation and cruelty. The courtroom was filled with tension as each piece of evidence was presented, revealing the extent of the damage he had caused. Friends, family, and even former associates of Jim came forward, sharing their experiences and shedding light on his true character. It became evident that his web of deceit extended far beyond our family. Throughout the trial, Jim and his accomplices tried to twist the narrative, attempting to deny their involvement and downplay their actions. But the truth had a way of prevailing, and the strength of our case was undeniable. The jury, in their wisdom, saw through their lies and recognized the heinous nature of their crimes. When the verdict was finally announced, a collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. Justice had been served. Jim was sentenced to a substantial prison term where he would face the consequences of his actions. Additionally, he was ordered to pay a hefty sum for the damages caused, ensuring that the financial burden would serve as a reminder of the lives he had shattered. The weight of the courtroom's decision brought closure and a sense of vindication. It was a victory not only for our family, but for all those who had suffered at the hands of Jim's manipulation and deceit. In the aftermath of the trial, Mom and I are now focused on healing and rebuilding our lives. We are determined to put this dark chapter behind us and move forward with strength and resilience. What did I just read? My God, this is horrifying. I absolutely can't accept what you guys went through. All my love and support. My prayers are with you. The world is indeed becoming a horrible place. My goodness. Oh my God, Christ wouldn't believe the atrocities we're seeing today. You should be proud of yourself for being such a strong woman and supporting your mom. My prayers are with your family. Yikes, can't imagine the shit you guys had to deal with. Glad that the culprits are behind bars now. Take care, too. I hope your mom gets better with time. Must be very emotionally draining, all of it. I feel so bad. Next story. Yesterday, my family and I, 20 female, went to visit my aunt and uncle and some cousins at the former's house. This post concerns my oldest cousin, 37, male. We'll call him Greg. Since they're family and it was a very chill, spontaneous visit, and since I prioritize comfort over anything else when I know it wouldn't be inappropriate to do so, I wore a sweatshirt and some plaid pajama pants, thinking no one would care. For the most part, I was right, and I even got a compliment on my PJ pants from my aunt, who loves pajamas and comfortable clothes as much as I do. But when Greg sat down next to me on the couch, he started telling me I shouldn't be wearing things like that outside my house. He first told me I'll never get a boyfriend if I leave the house in pajama pants. I told him I'm not trying to get a boyfriend. He asked me where exactly I wear them out, and I said around family, to friends' places, on quick trips to convenience stores, and sometimes to morning classes, as do half of my classmates. It also took every ounce of mental fortitude not to tell him I'm really not looking for potential boyfriends at family get-togethers. He said, I'm just trying to help you. Guys will never be interested in you if you dress like that. I told him if a guy doesn't want me because I enjoy wearing pajama pants out sometimes, then obviously I'm not interested in him either. He wasn't letting up, and I was getting pissed, so I essentially just told him I'm going to wear what I want, and there's not a damn thing he can do about it, and left the conversation. That side of the family can be old-fashioned sometimes, but this was honestly unexpected. Like, why do you, a 37-year-old man, feel you must take it upon yourself to ensure the 20-year-old female cousin you see a few times a year, at most, looks appetizing to the male population? Perhaps he'd at least have some semblance of a point if I wore pajamas everywhere, including places where it would be bad to do so, but like I said, I don't. I can safely say I've never worn pajamas to a job interview, family celebration, etc. But even then, it's still only about my having to be appealing to hypothetical men for him, so no, he wouldn't have a point. I ignored him for the rest of the day and didn't utter any form of goodbye when it was time to leave. I guess he complained to his mom, my aunt, about my massive overreaction to his advice and would like an apology since he was just looking out for me. My aunt texted all this to my dad, who agrees with me but thinks I should just apologize to smooth things over. I don't want to do that. even if it makes things tense with that whole house. Since Greg still lives with my aunt and uncle, I don't feel I should apologize when I was the one subjected to harassment regarding my clothing choices. Besides, it's not like Greg is some grand authority on the subject. Aside from my aunt and grandmother, he's never felt the touch of a woman in his life. So AITA for not letting this go? Edit. 2 things. 1. I think my dad would have reacted differently if my dying grandmother weren't living with Greg, because my aunt is her end-of-life caretaker, as in that house is his only access to his mother. I agree, I do wish he reacted differently, but I'm willing to cut him some slack this time. I'm going to explain the situation to him again, and I think he'll understand this is maybe serious enough to not back down. 2. I really didn't want to share this, but I also live with severe chronic pain on a daily basis, and thus seek maximum comfort whenever possible, including in my clothing choices. So the people commenting "everyone sucks" here can frick right off. 3. I have seen a few comments accusing me of rejecting requested judgment, especially regarding edit number 2, so allow me to clarify. I asked whether I was an AH for refusing to apologize, not whether I was an AH for wearing pajamas out. I believe I made it quite clear that I'm comfortable with my clothing choices. That is not where I requested judgment. Edit. Thank you, mostly, all for your wonderful, hilarious comments. I've done my best to keep up since I posted this, and you guys have been making me laugh all day. I will not be apologizing to Greg, and instead we'll speak with my parents and aunt first so they understand what he did was gross and wrong on too many levels to just gloss it over. But I will make sure I do it in a way such that my dad can still visit his sick mom at their house without any awkwardness or problems. Thank you all for your advice. And also, thank you to everyone who ignored the question and just shat on me for my pajamas in real life. I'm quite a non-confrontational person. I suppose it's more accurate to say that I don't shy away from it when I feel it's necessary, but I definitely avoid engaging if possible. This is to say, I've never so vigorously stood up for myself as I have on this post, and it was your comments that gave me that opportunity for growth. Not sarcasm, I do appreciate it. I'm going to apply these skills I didn't know I had when I next speak with Greg. Some advice. I challenge each and every one of you to dare to think beyond arbitrary social rules created by random bipedal mammals whose existence will inevitably vanish at the death of the sun. I promise the fact that I chose to wear pajamas outside the house in the year 2023 has not an ounce of significance. NTA. Greg is a 37-year-old man that wants his 20-year-old cousin to look hot at family get-togethers. Greg is a creep, and you owe him no apology. I wouldn't do it just to smooth things over either. EFF that. He's almost 40. If the way a 20-year-old cousin dresses bothers him this much, that's his problem. You're not children. But if he wants to act like one, let him. I had cousins like this growing up, and I don't anymore, because if you're a creep in my family, you're no longer in the family, and we will deny your association to our last breath. It's tradition. Seriously, this is a thing my family has done to several people in the past 500 years. We are not forgiving people, apparently. NTA. Firstly, I, female 32, believe that pajamas should only be worn in the house, not out to convenience stores or anywhere else. If I go to a family member's house, for example, and wanted to still be comfortable, I put on sweatpants. It's just more presentable, and that is just my opinion. Okay, what an entitled, creepy cousin you have, and he is a 37-year-old man who still lives at home but has the audacity to tell you you're not presenting yourself to be attractive to males. He sounds uncomfortable to be around and toxic. Wow. Don't apologize. You apologizing will literally wipe whatever you said away, that your feelings don't matter. Some type of weird male hierarchy thing happening here with your cousin. I don't know the best way to explain it at the moment. Your father wants to keep the peace. I get that. But that ideally is not the best way to approach the situation. His mother definitely sounds like an enabler of his bad behavior. If you haven't already, you should have a conversation and tell your father exactly what you wrote here and how it felt like he was sexualizing you, and that's not okay. This is a boundary you can't budge on. That is something you should never back down from. You're 20 and can't get a boyfriend because of PJs? What a stupid concept. He's 37 and still lives with mommy? What's his excuse? Obviously, NTA. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.